Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's stream. It's so lovely to be here with you all. I need a second because I still have to put my hair in a braid. I just had it out because I was cleaning for a minute, and it's will give me a headache if I leave it in a ponytail for too long. Anyway, it's lovely to be here with you all today. I am so excited to hang out with you. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ariana. I am the co-director of the Consent Academy, a Seattle-based nonprofit that aims to promote consent as a part of daily life, from the bedroom to the boardroom. And I don't know why it's not showing my window capture. Give me just a second. It should be showing the window capture. Properties. What's going on? Okay, I'll have to resize this. I don't know what's happening. It was fine like 5 minutes ago. I do have memes today. I'm pretty excited to hang out with y'all, talk about memes, look at memes, talk about fun and interesting things. Hopefully this is okay. Hopefully this is okay. Hi, Aradin. It's nice to see you. Anyway, I'm extremely tired today. I slept like 12 hours, more than 12 hours. I did a run. I think it's because I'm anemic. My last blood test, I haven't been anemic since I was like 14. Like normally I'm totally fine. I have like perfect blood tests. Everything's exactly as it should be. But I came back and I was pretty anemic. And that plus having chronically low blood pressure probably just means my brain's not getting enough oxygen. So that's why I say it's cloudy with an extra chance of tangents. Anyway, to run, I hope you had an amazing time at Nowhere. Uh, I think that it's pretty cool to help organize something like that and then get to like actually see it happen. No, it's just the lighting. I mean, I didn't dye my hair. It's just the light. Uh, yeah, just the light. Okay. I am probably gonna get a haircut that's really short. Side note about me, most of the time I have hair that's like a pixie cut or just like incredibly short. My hair was to like here at the beginning of the pandemic. This is all pandemic growth because my hair and nails grow incredibly fast. Just absurdly fast. It's kind of annoying actually because if I want to have like a cute haircut, that means I have to go get my haircut about every 2 weeks because it grows so fast. I have some friends who I've been friends with for years, and then we hadn't gotten to talk on a video chat for like a month or so. We just like playing games together. And then we did a video chat, and they were convinced I was wearing hair extensions. They're like, wow, oh my goodness. And hi, Ice Bunny. But no, it's just my hair grows super, super fast. Anyway, digressions on top of digressions. I'm so excited to hang out with you all today. I think I've mentioned this many a time, but this is often the highlight of my week, or one of the highlights. Both the Sunday stream and the Tuesday stream are things that I deeply appreciate. It's just genuinely really nice to get to hang out. If you didn't get to see last Sunday's stream, I recommend checking it out. It was with the amazing Jessica Price, who I've been Twitter mutuals with for many years. Never met her in person, never had actually talked to her in person, just on Twitter. We have a lot of mutual friends, run in a lot of the same circles. And instead of talking for like the usual hour, hour and a half, it does qualify as a superpower, I think, how fast my hair is. It's okay. One more side note about hair stuff. It's a pain in the ass when I've gone to get my hair cut short again, because my hair, like, this is really all just like pandemic growth. It looks shorter than it is because I've been keeping it braided. I braid it before I go to sleep because otherwise it would be a rat's nest in the morning. So it's like wavy, but it's like almost down to my butt if I put it in the back. Anyway, I'll go to get my hair cut and I'll say I want like a pixie cut or something super short. And they'll always I have to fight with them because they're convinced that like, because it makes sense, because this is how it normally is, that this is like 10 years worth of growth. And then I'm going to cry if I get my hair cut that short. And I've had to actually just like take kitchen scissors with me to the hair salon and just put it in the back in a ponytail and just chop it and then tell them fix it. Because otherwise, they'll just be like, oh, we'll give you a little trim, maybe take it to your shoulders and see if you like it. And it's just like, no, the only reason why I got this long is because I didn't have the money to get a haircut. Or like I was lazy. Or it was a pandemic. Anyway, Jessica Price chat. It's really, really good. We talk about a lot of nuances of anti-Semitism and sexism in the video game industry and beyond. And one of the things I really want to reinforce that we talked about, but was not direct enough about it, is that some of the stuff that people are doing in chat, I do think is reflective. Hi, Silly, really, welcome back. It was great to have you with us on Sunday. Some of the things that people are doing in chat were actually really part of the types of problems that we were talking about, which is that a lot of people who are ex-Christians or who are sort of agnostic or kind of indifferent about Christianity, or were like brought up vaguely Christian and then are heavily rejecting it now, some of the way they deal with those feelings that they have about rejecting Christianity, feeling rejected by it, pushing back against it, the way of handling that ends up being problematic towards all religions, including can reinforce anti-Semitism or Islamophobia. And what I want to encourage people to do is, instead of looking at a religion and trying to attack it based off of your perception of the logic of the belief system, because that's not really getting at the thing that's even the problem. Most of the time, it's not the religion and the religious beliefs itself that are the problem. And Jessica and I talked about how people can then kind of double down and be really focused on the idea of false beliefs. But most of us carry lots of false beliefs. So it's clearly not even false beliefs that are the thing that people are really upset about. It's a reaction to the power differential that most of us felt in our life related to a religion we were brought up in or around, and we don't feel is for us. So instead of attacking the faith itself and trying to like attack it logically, because then that puts literally all religious beliefs and many, many things about culture and most of our daily lives as suspect, attack behaviors that people do under the guise of a religion. This is what I'm encouraging people to do. It's similar to like other interpersonal communication issues where it's like, if I am feeling upset that something somebody else did, and if I go and I say to them, oh, you are this way, and because you do this, and you, and you, and you, that person's going to feel like shit, and they're probably not going to actually hear what I'm trying to say, and we're not actually going to talk about the thing that's the problem. Versus if I say, yeah, do we have to attack it all? I agree, similarly. But like, if I want to talk to that person about something and I make I statements, if I say, okay, here's my experience of this situation, here's how it made me feel, this is my understanding of it, and here's what I don't like my experience that I had here. It's a lot better than saying, like, you're always this way, you always do this, you never do this. That is immediately going to destroy communication between people. So, the same thing I think is a good thing for talking about religions. If we want to critique our personal experiences of religion, or the ways in which we feel a religion maybe has an outsized impact on politics, or the ways in which people have mistreated us under the guise of religion, we should critique those behaviors rather than try to say the religion itself is somehow laughable because it's illogical. Because pretty much nothing humans do is like quote unquote logical. Logic is a social construct. Anyway, that's my one little thing. I want to just reinforce this idea, because I think a little bit of that happened in the chat. And I may not be a Christian, But in my lineage of Buddhism, I'm a very devout Buddhist. I'm ordained. You don't kind of go and do that sort of thing if you're not a little bit of a religious nut job. And I know I am. But even in my lineage of Buddhism, actually we venerate all deities from all religions. So we have lots of special feelings about Jesus and Muhammad and Abraham and anybody, any prophet, anything from any other religion that is venerated in my lineage of Buddhism too. And I agree with both what Silly Millie and Aradin are saying. We don't need to attack at all. We can attack behaviors. We can attack, hypocrisy in people's actions for sure. Like we can say like, okay, you say you're pro-life, but then what about, poor children or whatever? Like I think it's not going to change their mind. Like that's a whole different thing. Like if you actually want to change someone's mind about something, those skills, we have it up on our YouTube. I have a whole lecture that's 2 hours long that I gave specifically on if you want to change someone's mind, how do you have a productive conversation, especially about political or emotionally fraught things. Yeah, critique behaviors, critique actions. Because also when it comes down to it, like most people who are religious and secure in their religious beliefs, you can point out logical inconsistencies to them and they won't care. Like Buddhism is pretty whacked in its own way, and I say this as a very devout Buddhist, and it's got lots of problems, and there have been plenty of like abusive situations in certain Buddhist lineages and like scandals and all that other stuff. And it's politically active, and it's not about logic, it's about the experience of faith. It's about the connection it gives you. It's about the awe that it inspires and the reverence and sometimes the fear and the terror, whatever works for people. And as I've talked about, for me, I have a tendency towards really superstitious thinking and like excessive pattern finding. And religion is also a really, really healthy way for me to manage that, because otherwise I will do things like have way more rocks than I probably should, because my brain will be like, these rocks are special, you should keep them. And there's no logic to that. I think it's a kind of OCD, maybe, but religion is a really, really nice way to corral that tendency in myself. So yeah, you can tell me how logical reincarnation is. I don't give a shit. Not why. I'm not there for the logic. I'm there for the vibes. I'm there for the other things that it offers me. I'm there for the mindset and the worldview that it gives me. The logic is kind of whatever. And for a lot of people who are very faithful would also argue that like logic is the mind of any deity or deities cannot be comprehended by humans, so like whatever. So all those arguments, they don't work. That's what I'm trying to say, and it might just make people feel bad. And I hope you have good food. It's funny. And then Aran, you also said, I think that is often the impulse people have as a response rather than a conscious decision, and I would agree. Most of your rocks are made of glass, and you live in a glass house. Throwing things is not so productive. I think that's very interesting. You live in a glass house. That's fascinating. I would love to see what that looks like. And Silly Millie, you also said, I'm okay with revealing hypocrisy, but I don't attack hypocrisy, especially as I recognize my own capacity for hypocrisy. Yeah, and I also want to be very like middle path about all of this. It's a Buddhist concept as well, which is about like being careful with thinking extremes and behavioral extremes. And it's like, I don't also think that like your house has to be entirely in order to critique somebody else's. People will always say like, oh, well, we can't critique like what Russia does because our own governments have done terrible things. And it's like, that's whataboutism. And that then means that the conversation can never be about anything. And so I think, yes, recognize our own capacity for holding false beliefs, for hypocrisy, all of that is good. and humility in these spaces, and also being like, it's totally legit to point out hypocrisy, and totally legit to say like, hey, some lines are too far, uh, too much crossing of them, and yeah. Anyway, give me a second. I resized the window because it was too big, and now I have to fix what I did. I know I've made the joke before, but OBS is my favorite Souls game. Because it's basically a Souls game. No, wrong window. Window capture. Come on. Let's work together on this. Yeah. So anyway, let's look at some memes. Let's do that. Let's have some fun. Thank you all for going back to chat about the stream. I do recommend watching it though, because I think that Jessica and I talk about a lot of really important things and a lot of really important ways in which things. Silly Millie, I love this statement. This is really brilliant. I believe in shining an unforgiving light, but having a forgiving eye. I really like that. Yeah, I wasn't going to point that out. Extremist views about extremism. I was like, yeah, I mean, I think some of it's the paradox of tolerance as well, which is like a tolerant society has to be intolerant to intolerance. And like, in order to avoid the harms of extremism, we must be extreme in our condemnation of extremism. And also, you always have to be careful because there's like a tyranny of the middle ground, especially when a group that has more power gets to define where that middle ground is. So yeah, flexibility is good. And yeah, I think that I feel like sometimes I always want to be like, oh, but wait, there's more, like on a game show, but for nuance. There's more nuance to be had. And I love getting into the nuance of things. Yes. So let's get some memes. We get this first one here. I saw this on Twitter today, and I was like, this is exactly accurate because I'm sleepy. And so it says, you're in her DMs, question mark. And then it's like sort of 3 vintage, probably early 1900s images of dapper gentlemen in pajamas. And it says, night time, I'm in my fucking PJs. I'm so very sleepy. It's my bedtime. And yeah, I fell asleep at like 9:45 last night. Just could not stay awake any longer. And then I woke up at like 11. So there you go. I needed sleep because I've only been sleeping. I've had insomnia recently as well. Difficult. All right, next picture. So this is 2 panels. I'll show them one at a time from the oatmeal. Motorists cutting each other off. One car says, you cut me off, you son of a bitch. I will rain blood and sulfur from the motherfucking sky. I've got a crossbow in my trunk. Pull over and I'll punch an arrow through your ugly little mouth hole. And the other motorist says, oh yeah, I'll find your childhood pet, dig it up, and eat that son of a bitch. Then I'll Superman punch your grandmother so hard her colostomy bag will explode all over your old family photos. Okay, pretty extreme things to say to people. And then, by contrast, pedestrians cutting each other off. Oops, I do apologize for that, my dear sir. No problem, handsome fellow. It was my fault. Carry on and have yourself a marvelous day. Righty-o. Hat tip to your magnificence. May a squadron of beautiful vaginas find their way to your crotch by day's end. But it's like, okay, these are very silly. It's very, very the oatmeal. I have the game Exploding Cats Not Safe for Work edition. My mom bought that for me, not realizing she was buying the Not Safe for Work edition, but it's hilarious. It's also incredibly juvenile in a way I really appreciate. But you can really see it's true. There really is this. Like, driving brings out something in people that frightens me a lot of the time. And when you bump into someone when you're walking, 90% of the time it's just Paladin Hook, yes, the lesson is for us to be meaner when we drive cars. Absolutely. But yeah, which world do we like better? I like the pedestrian one better, for sure. Her news say, it's like saying all game companies are terrible, so it doesn't matter what I do. And even though there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, I think that it is still something that needs to be considered. I mean, I agree with you. No ethical consumption under capitalism is not a free pass to just buy whatever you want and not have to think about it. It's to recognize everything you buy causes harm, and therefore we need to be extra thoughtful about when and why we buy things and really ask ourselves, do I need this thing? Does this thing, does the value I get from this thing merit the harm that it causes? I mean, 99% of the time I would say no, except things like food, because you'll die if you don't eat. But yeah, anyway, motorists, road rage, terrifying. Okay, this is a tweet from Hayden Clarkin, at the _transit_ guy. Yes, you're right, Paladin Hulk. Thankfully, a lot of harmful things can be abandoned. And there's a reason why it's called road rage and not sidewalk rage. You're right, Aradin. Though sometimes sidewalk rage does happen. So Hayden says the entirety of Paris, Barcelona, and Manhattan can all fit inside the land dedicated to surface parking in Los Angeles County, 101 square miles. If all the surface parking lots in the country, or the county, were converted, you would house an additional 5.85 million people, a 58% increase. And, you know, LA and San Francisco have huge homelessness crises. And parking is part of the problem. I mean, genuinely, it's public land that we cede to car infrastructure that often sits unused the majority of its life, and therefore not serving the people in that area. And the homeless people who live in an area are that community, and they deserve to be served too. Similarly, I think sidewalk rage is called mugging. I love it. Anyway, this tweet makes me sad. Just thinking about how much we see. Or, you know, if we didn't say replace this all with housing, but we made it into parks instead, a lot of those really famous LA heat waves might be avoided just by having more trees, not turf grass nonsense parks that are super, you know, a lot of parks don't actually really help with biodiversity in an area because they're so heavily manicured and so many pesticides are put down and so much like really harsh chemical and don't get too, you know, like precious about the word chemical. I know everything's a chemical, but you know, these very environmentally difficult substances are used to maintain the beautiful, you know, pristine, perfect turf grass parks that we see, and they're not necessarily very good for the environment. I like ones that have areas for human use and also ones that are sort of multi-species intended public parks. And just imagine if we put a bunch of like native to the LA region plants in place of all these parking lots, how much better the air quality would be. You'd get less of that famous LA smog, and there would probably be a lot fewer heat waves and a lot less health problems. And yeah, anyway, yeah, harsh pesticides. The Turbo News said, the driving culture is one of the major reasons I left Los Angeles and eventually settled in Barcelona. Yeah, I can't go back. Spending the last like, I don't know, I lived in Seattle for a while, but almost all of my 20s and 30s have been spent living outside the United States. And getting to have this experience of not needing a car and living in very like human scale spaces, even ones that were imperfect. I mean, they're all imperfect, but even ones that had a lot of problems, there's no comparing. And I want more Americans to get the opportunity to experience more than just travel abroad, but some actual like experience of what it can be like. Because I think a lot of people, especially a lot of NIMBYs, especially wealthier NIMBYs, NIMBY means not in my backyard. So like people who would say no to a lot of changes in urban designing that would make communities better to live in. If they actually got to experience what it was like and the benefits, I bet you. Yeah. Okay, Paladin Hulk, looks like you're writing something really interesting. I once scuffed someone's coat as I moved my bike past them, and she and her husband dragged me to the police station. They asked, was this an accident, so no crimes were committed? And then they dragged me to a coat store where the clerk washed the scruff off, upon which they finally let me go. So that was an experience. Yeah, I mean, like, I think if you accidentally destroy or damage someone else's property, it does make sense to say, like, try to assist with the cost of repair. But dragging you to the police, this is a great example of the problem of we're so used to having no structures for any type of community-based accountability that we think that the police are the solution to everything, and they're really not. So boo. I'm glad that the clerk was able to just walk them off. Okay, continuing. Here we have a really great meme. Let me make sure this looks good. Yes, so we have the mamachari mom. Mamachari is a Japanese term for mother's chariot, and it's referencing these types of bicycles in which you have a really nice child's bicycle seat on the back, and you can also have it on the front, and you can also sometimes have like two in the back, two in the front, depends on how many kids you have. But Japan, a lot of the time, people do use these kinds of bicycles to get around. And you can see, like, this person went to the grocery store, was able to buy groceries, is loaded up into her front basket, has her kid on the back. There's like a little handle for the kid to hold on to. They got their helmet. It's super cute. And because they're in a proper mamachari bicycle, you're not going to have a situation like the kid's leg getting caught inside. I knew someone once in Japan who didn't have proper bicycle for their kids, and they had one of their kids like kind of sitting on, I want to say like this section of it, and or sitting on the handlebars or something, and their kid's foot got in there, and the kid thankfully wasn't that injured, but they got into a really bad crash and the bicycle broke, and then they wanted like time off from work and an excuse for being late, and the job was just like, if you're transporting your children where you're not actually using the proper things. But anyway, setting this aside, this is, if you live in a sort of human scale world, even if you have to go a little out of the way to say get to a big grocery store, right? Like where I live, right downtown in a nice, in the capital city of Austria, I have like 10 plus grocery stores within a 10-minute walk of me. The number of options is a little overwhelming, to be honest. But if I lived a little further out, I might have, one or two grocery stores within a 10-minute walk. And if I have kids, it can be nice to have a bicycle. When I lived in Japan, it was living, I never lived in Tokyo proper. I lived in Saitama, in Warabi City, which is just like right over the border. It's the greater metropolitan area of Tokyo. And that there were multiple grocery stores within, let's say, a 15-minute walk. And then there were lots of little small markets. And then when I lived in Kumamoto, which is in Kyushu, that was a bit further apart. And then when I visited my friends who lived on Amakusa, which is an island that's part of Kumamoto Prefecture, I would go out there like almost every weekend because it's a beautiful tropical island where a bunch of my friends lived. Like, why would I not go out there every weekend? It was a bit further. And like in that area, you kind of really did need a car if you didn't want to bicycle everywhere and it'd take like 20 minutes to get places. And there was buses and trains, and like trains could get you in between major sort of points, but were not necessarily always good for like then getting to your house. But they still had a public transport system. You could still do it. You could live in the real, what's the word? Inaka? What's the word? Countryside. You could live in the deep countryside in Japan and still do pretty well without a car, because there usually is still buses that come multiple times a day and trains that will take you in between your area and other areas. So anyway, mama chari is usually sufficient versus the soccer mom. And the soccer mom to me is indicative of infrastructure failure, because a person of any gender who has to have this huge apparatus for schlepping their kids around everywhere to all these different activities and all the equipment and like making sure that they've got meals with them and all this other stuff, and then has to take all this time and like wait around versus, okay, you've got soccer practice and you can walk there. It's 15 minutes away. Or you can take the bus. You're like, 10, 11, 12 or older. You're completely capable of going on your own. And just like, here's your cell phone, be back by this time. Or if you're going to go out later, there's like grocery stores everywhere where you can get ready to eat food if you want it, or you can go out with your friends. That creates a much easier time as a parent for actually having a life still. You don't have to be the soccer mom or soccer dad or soccer parental guardian. You can, maybe when they're really little, itty bitty, though, if you haven't seen the Netflix show, it's in Japanese, Hajime no Sky, Old Enough, I think is Ready Enough? Old Enough, I think is the title. Old Enough is, I think, Old Enough is the name of the show. It's about parents sending their kids on their first errand by themselves. And like, I think the first episode is a woman sending her little 3-year-old still in diapers to like go to the grocery store and buy groceries and come back. And it's adorable. We can give kids so much more independence than we do, but we can't give that to them if we're driving them everywhere. Because the reason why that little 3-year-old is capable is because probably the parents walk with them back and forth from the grocery store all the time. It's very close. They probably ask the kid at each, intersection, oh, which way do we go now? And then if they're wrong, they kind of say, why do you think I would say no to that? And really engage the kids in learning and recognizing things, probably a lot of that with crossing the street, really instilling rules in them. But if you're constantly driving your kid everywhere, they don't get to know their area around them. It's also part of the idea of that sense of place. They don't have a deep connection to knowing what does it actually feel like to walk from my home to the place where I get food and come back. What does it actually feel like to run these errands? And if you're in a car, you've probably got your kid with like a screen in front of them, or they're sleeping or something like that. And so they're not going to be as connected to the world around them. And then that's going to make them have a lot harder time when they do finally start getting independence, because they're going to have less connection to all of it. So let me back up. Arada, you said police have become an umbrella solution for far too many issues they aren't equipped or trained for. Absolutely. Ice Bunny, Mama Chuddies are so normal in Copenhagen, but a level up are the Christiania bikes. Yeah. I think I saw those when I visited. If you have a picture, I would love one. Same here, but Christiania bikes can fit a week's shopping for 4 and 2 kids. Yeah, there are lots of bikes here in Vienna as well that have like either the front wheel is like further out and you have this like big bin in front of you, or a lot of people have these like wagon hookups on the back. I really want one of those, so mostly so I can take the bike to a big plant and home and garden center and buy an absurd number of giant plants, so I don't have to try to take them on the train and terrify people. But they do have K cars. If you don't know what a K car is, it's a style of Japanese car that usually weighs under 1,000 kilograms, so like under a ton. They're really light. I've had friends who, or I've seen them say like hit ice and they tipped over or something happened with cars. They often are. Some of them are really top heavy, especially the van ones. I think they're kind of a bad idea, but anyway, they've just flipped over and like I can pick it up by myself and like put it back upright a lot of the time. They're usually aluminum unibody cars, so they crumple entirely in an accident, which makes them safer when it's 2 of them hitting each other. But if you're getting into an accident with like a more substantial vehicle, like an SUV, you're going to totally die. But they get incredible gas mileage. They're small and compact. They're great. I used to want a K car so bad. Silly Millie, you said, when I was briefly in Tokyo, the nearest grocery was barely 2 minutes away. It took me longer to travel vertically than to travel horizontally to get groceries. Yeah, not surprising. Paladin Hulk lessons. Teach teach toddlers to drive so they can be independent. I love it. Reverend Morton, why not teach 3-year-old kids to drive tiny cars? What could go wrong? I mean, I definitely had like a 4-year-old's version of an ATV when I was a kid that I got from the neighbors because they were going to throw theirs out because the plastic wheels had gone completely bald. So it was like actually really hard to drive it around. So I just went and like got like tar stuff and made treads on it myself when I was really little. And then I would just like go around everywhere with it because they were going to throw it away. And I asked if I could have it because it still worked. The wheels just needed to be replaced. Anyway, I loved it. That was a little menace. Silly Millie also said, I've seen that show exist, but I haven't watched it. Yes, old enough. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we could put big rubber bumpers around the cars, Paladin Hulk. I think it's great. Silly Millie, though I've watched an entire anime about a 4-year-old living on his own. Not Reverend Moore, you said not, it's better to just make really big cars for kids that they're extra safe. Oh, thank you for the link to the bike. Let's open it up for everybody so they can see too. Yes, yes, yeah. These kinds of things are amazing. Let me make sure it looks good. Everyone can see it. Yes. These kinds of bicycles are amazing. We have a lot of these in Vienna. People don't usually put their kids in this kind of thing. They usually have like slightly more substantial seats on the bicycles so that they don't fall out and stuff, but I think that it's perfectly appropriate. Look at this. It's got a little backrest and everything. So cute. I love it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Christianity is that like anarchy island in the middle of the city, right? Where like it's just full of cannabis and people like live kind of anarchy style and everything. Um, Paladin Hulk, you said, what if we made the cars so big that lots of kids can use it? We can call it a bus. Yes, if Freetown Christianity is a car-free zone, it's funny. That sounds like communism. So someone there invented them. Yeah, I mean, I bet that this is where they came from originally. Um, if each child can't personally control the vehicle, uh, yeah, I've heard stories about the sort of heydays of the little island, but I visited it and I enjoyed the vibes. I enjoyed the like DIY kind of commune, kind of we do what we want. Everyone was dressed cool. I liked it. All right, well, thank you for showing me this. Um, okay, so enough about soccer moms. It's an infrastructure failure. We should not have to have them. They make me sad. Okay, next one. This is just an ad, and it's an ad for a giant truck, and it says Atlanta's massive transit system, and I just want to be like, no, no. Um, Silly Millie, you said, I just watched a Yes Theory video on that enclave in Copenhagen. Yeah. All right, so this is about Mount Zion National Park, and it's these two signs, and I think it's really interesting. And it shows here a picture of traffic, and it also has a thing about how much visitation they get a year. And it says before the shuttle. Imagine 5,000 cars, motorhomes, and tour buses a day entering a narrow canyon with only 450 parking spaces. That was the situation in Zion Canyon before 1999. The National Park Service established the system to eliminate traffic jams and parking hassles, to protect vegetation, and to restore the tranquility and power of the early days of Zion Canyon. By taking the shuttle, you can become an active partner in preserving the canyon's future. And one thing I really want to say is that, like, if you don't have enough parking spaces, people will often just park wherever, and that often means driving off of the road into the area. But what a lot of times people don't understand is, like, whether it's a road or it's like a hiking trail, you should really do your best to never step off of those, because there are certain types of intermediary plant species and even animals, like a lot of insects, that live in that area where there's a break in other vegetation when there is a sort of high traffic where this like that is their habitat. And if we're constantly going off of the trail, it's why like when you're hiking, you should really try to stay on the hiking path as much as possible. Also, screw anybody who has an off-leash dog in a wildlife preserve of any kind. Literally, your dog is an invasive species. I know you want your dog to be like in nature and have a fun time. There are plenty of dog parks you can take them to for that. Um, do not just let your dogs off leash in the woods like that because they will dramatically harm the ecosystem. Like, just don't do it. Also, dog poo and urine is one of the major ways that a lot of pests and parasites and diseases get introduced into wildlife preserves, and it's pretty toxic, so don't do it. Okay, so before the shuttle, after the shuttle, for most of the year, the shuttle is your access to spectacular Zion Canyon. Buses stop at trailheads, scenic features, Zion Lodge, and the museum before returning to the visitor center. The round trip is a minimum of 90 minutes. Get off and on as often as you like throughout the canyon, hike an inviting trail, and then catch the next bus. To board the shuttle, follow signs to the main standing area near the visitor center. So as you can see, they're trying to say that as a result of introducing the shuttle system, more people come. But also, like, look at how convenient that is. You don't have to, like, go and find a parking space in each place. You can just get in to the area and take the shuttle and go around. It was one of the few things I really loved about Seattle is from outside even, like, this major Seattle Public Library, the one that's, like, cool and glass and downtown and pretty famous. There was several buses that would come that were like direct to trailhead buses. There were multiple stops in the city. It wasn't just there. That was just the one I liked to go to. And it was great because you could just get on it. It would take you to a hiking trail. It'd be like you and 40 other people would get out. And then you hike. And then you don't have to drive all the way there. So it would cost you like $1.70 rather than like all the money in gas and trying to find parking and no, thank you. Okay, so great. So this is a different kind of tone. Okay, wait, I want to back up. Ice Bunny, you said it was a military base. So this is Christiania. And some hippies, not sure how you say slum stormers in English, took over the place in the early 70s. And being hippies, the main street is called Pusher Street. And some years ago, they bought it themselves. Yeah, you're right around that truck ad totally misses the point. Ice Bunny, my brother told me that people now have gas car and electric car and fill up park spaces. That's too bad. Reverend Mort, I think very proactive squatters might be the best term. Though slum stormer does kind of work in English too. It does work. I kind of got the idea. Oh, Ice Bunny, don't let your dog off the leash. So if you have a dog and you want to go hiking with them, it's totally fine. But you want to keep them on their leash so that they stay on the trail, not let them off the leash so they can just kind of run free and everywhere because they'll be really destructive. And there can often be like endangered plants right next to the trail. And then letting them off, they're likely to step on it, their claws can dig it up. They might chew it or they might pee on it or whatever. It can be really devastating. And then Reverend Morty said, pieces, yes, but it's quite possible to pick up after your dog even if you're taking them for a walk in nature. And yeah, funny tobacco is okay, hard drugs not. Yeah, makes sense. All right, so here's a different, it's not really a meme, but it's an important sort of thing. So it's this person on Twitter. Their user information is blocked out. You can see the tweet wasn't from that long ago, a couple months. I lost around 50,000 followers since Twitter began banning bots. I'm now sitting at around 90 followers. So imagine that change. Every single one of my mutuals I've interacted with in the past 8 years have been bots, and I never even realized. And the content or the commentary written below is go beyond the obvious here and realize how frightening it is that there are social media influencers out there who truly believe the majority is on their side, but it was all bot accounts all along. no one was actually listening to them. They were yelling into a void, which is sending back fake voices of approval and affirmation. If that isn't a modern horror story, you're not paying attention. So this is, to me, it is scary because you can have really extremist views and then think that people agree with you, but it's not actually people agreeing with you. It's mostly bots and trolls and that kind of thing. And then not realize that you then end up getting more extreme over time and further promoting things. And you can get people like who are pretty powerful, pretty influential people. And if even a third of their followers are bots, and some of the people who engage with them the most, and a lot of their other followers are just sort of watching what's happening, that can also influence the people who are watching, thinking that, okay, look at how many people also agree with this guy. He's got to be correct. And that can also cause the whole idea of the risky shift, which is that people can get more extreme in their views and behavior over time as a group dynamic will shift. You can also get the opposite, safe shifts. People can shift in the other direction harder. Okay, next idea. Sure, every trip to the grocery store costs twice as much as it used to, but hey, at least the quality of those groceries has also decreased significantly. Yeah, no commentary needed. It's just sad. And then this also made me really sad. Treat our troops to a phone call home. Donate a phone card today. The U.S. military has billions of dollars, trillions of dollars. It is obscene. Troops should be able to call home for free. That's all I'm saying. It's pretty messed up. Okay. This is just a picture of a train. It says still better than a Prius, and it's true. Okay, last meme, and then we're going to move on to some other things. Seeing this giant ad for a Samsung Galaxy S22 on the 13th century cathedral, Molly said, the 20th century asked, is nothing sacred? And the 21st century said, LOL, no. And it's not that I think that it's wrong to have anything on a church or that things should be sacred in that way, but just more the ubiquity of advertising and how many ads we are forced to see every day. It's not consensual. I don't consent to seeing all of this advertising, and yet it's just blasted into my eyeballs and my ears all the time. And, you know, there's certain things where it's like, yeah, if I'm going to go on YouTube, there's going to be ads. I'm aware of that. But like walking down the street, just think about how much of your visual space has been colonized with advertising. How much of the cityscape, how much of the visual landscape do we see to advertising as well? We don't really talk about that much on this channel. We've talked more about cars and car infrastructure, but we should also talk about things like advertising. It's all in service to consumerism, and it's bleh. Yeah. So if Iceman, you also added about Christiania, I think, and it is surreal when you go to the bus and some scary HA dude chats you up, say good hash, and I'm always no thanks, have a nice day. Yeah. Reverend Mort, the U.S. military spends more money on an airplane that sort of doesn't work than many countries spend on anything. It's true. Ice Bunny, pandemic dogs. Next door to me got a dog and is not allowed to have dogs in our HOA. Hell's Angels. Okay. Thank you, Ice Bunny. Yeah, that money is for the top brass. Yeah, it's sad. Okay, so there are a couple of things, some Reddit posts. I'm interested in looking at some Reddit posts at some point, just to kind of talk about them. I think that there are a lot of things that would be fun discussion things on stream. And this one is about a young girl who wants to go for her first gynecological appointment, and her mother basically won't allow her to go alone. She wants to go alone because she doesn't want her mom to know that she's sexually active and masturbates, and also has a lot of questions for the doctor that are related to these things. And she's tried to say to her mom she wants to go alone in some follow-up statements, and the mom has just been like, if you insist on going by yourself or having privacy, then you can't go at all. And I basically said that you do have a right to privacy. The universal right to autonomy means you get to decide what is best for your body, mind, spirit, information, life story, personal items, etc. A parent's job is to safeguard a child's autonomy so they have full access to it as an adult. They should not be infringing upon it. And I really want to stress that. If you have kids, please give them privacy when they want it, even if it makes you uncomfortable, especially if they're asking for privacy. It really should be respected. My advice also was like, you can kind of push back by taking things way too far. Like, just in excruciating detail, describe your bowel movement, so you poop, and like ask a lot of questions about like pooping while you're menstruating, and like describe different smells and textures of it, because probably her mom was going to be like, this is gross, I'm out of here. And then talk about what we want to talk about. Or I gave some other like options and stuff, but this is pretty non-consensual behavior. And we often treat children as though they're not people, as though they don't have rights. And like legally speaking, children tend to have the fewest rights of any group of people in the world. In many countries, children have no rights, and parents are allowed to do whatever they want. And it's very messed up. Okay, another one was just, this is an interesting one. I think it would be fun for you all to look at it and think about consent in this situation. The title is, Am I the Asshole for Refusing My Sister-in-Law's Request to Dye My Hair for My Brother's Wedding? And basically, the person's natural hair color is red. This future sister-in-law also dyes her hair the same shade of red, even though her hair is blonde. This future sister-in-law wants to be unique in the photos and is trying to force this person to change their hair color so that the bride is the only one with red hair. I would love you all to think about, what does this mean? Is this consensual? Is this coercive? Is this fair? Is this right? What do y'all think? Take some time with it. I think it's really fun to think about these things. Okay, totally different note. I'm going to share this all with you all because pretty soon all these new images are going to be getting released from NASA, and I am just like absolutely completely overwhelmed with excitement. The James Webb Space Telescope, first images from it. This is going to be the best, most high resolution, deepest images that we have of space ever. And it's so exciting. And we're going to get to see things we've never seen before. And it's important to know that any point of light in this photo that doesn't have like spikies coming out of it is a galaxy, right? Thousands of galaxies, yet including the faintest objects ever observed in the infrared, have appeared in Webb's view for the first time. And as it says here, this slice of the vast universe covers a patch of sky approximately the size of a grain of sand held at arm's length from someone on the ground. So imagine that you hold a piece of sand at your arm's length up to the sky, and you realize this image here is just that. And I've made it my desktop background already because I'm so excited. Maybe almost cried because outer space makes me have feelings. Lots of feelings. But just look at this. Look at how many amazing galaxies there are. Look at this red over here. Look at this. It's just, oh my goodness, so many. Look at how many there are. Just think about the sheer scale of that. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I like my lineage of Buddhism, because our central deity, Dainichi Nyorai, is literally the universe, and it fits because I have a lot of emotions about the universe. Before I decided not to make my confirmation as a Catholic, we had to write this whole research paper, and my whole thing was because I was a weird teenager about masturbation, and I was trying to argue that women especially, or people who can ejaculate, if they learn how to have non-ejaculative orgasms, then because they're not then spilling the seed, that masturbation is completely allowable as long as you don't think about impure things. And I was like, if you think about like galaxies and nebula or Jesus, so you masturbate. So they didn't like that. They thought I was being an asshole, but I was actually talking about it in good faith. Anyway, outer space does not make me horny. It was just a thought that I had as a teenager of like, this should be legit. But just look at this. Look at this. Just, this is amazing. Look at these. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I'm gonna lose my mind for the rest of the image set and everything that comes next. The stuff that Hubble can take does not even compare. I mean, Hubble's great, and I'm still very thankful that Hubble is there and we still have it and we can still use it for science. But my goodness, look at how many stars. Okay, so hey, Kettlestick. I feel like we don't even need to read the message here, just not the asshole. Reverend Mort, it's super coercive, not even a complicated question. Yeah. Reverend Mort, hey, I'd like you to shave your hair. I want to be the only one in my wedding who has hair. Yeah. Aradin, yeah, I think part of the issue with parents in NA is that they're thinking of themselves and what the babies make them feel. They want them to be an extension of themselves, not an individual. Also, yeah, not the asshole. Your vanity doesn't make it okay to expect that of others. And it's like Solaris in real life. It's absolutely true. I'm just like losing my shit over these photos. I'm so excited. I can't even, yeah. There's also an interesting Twitter thread. I'm going to minimize all this. Cat Black, I recommend. Has a lot of good YouTube videos, does a lot of live streams. This is talking, I see a lot of people, there's someone I know from the swing dance community in Seattle who like has started constantly commenting on anything to do with anything trans, of like, I refuse to be called a person with a uterus, and I'm like, that's fine, like, why? Like, things that have nothing to do with that, and I'm like, please get a life. I really like you as a person. Why are you doing this? And this conversation here, I think, covers a lot of really useful things. Okay, I just want to recommend it. Cat Black, great. So, one other fluffy thing that's cool about cats. It's an old article. Facebook reminded me of it, and I want to share it with you all. The whole thing can't be seen because how the browser is clipped right now, but it's about how cats are amazing and I actually like humans. Okay, so with a few minutes before we get to the game, I want to talk about Slack economies and how they could make life suck a lot less. So this is still from Surviving the Future. Make sure it looks okay. Yep. So we talked about carnival, right? This whole last chapter was about carnival. You can see it still says here. I didn't read all these other things because they kind of goes and talks about a lot of other stuff. So I skipped some sections because I think we got the main idea. And I want to talk about Slack employment and what does it mean to have a Slack economy and how that could make life really a lot nicer and increase overall employment. Ice Bunny, you said, my niece has picked me as the grown-up she talks to about tricky things, and it feels like history is repeating itself in the uncoolest of ways. Yes. But hopefully we can do better. Hopefully we can do better. So let's read this a little bit. But in the cold light of morning after, can a party possibly form a basis for a functional economy at any scale? Well, as we shall see, history suggests that it has an important role at the least. So parties are important. And if you think, but I hate parties, it's probably because most of the parties you've been to suck and don't fulfill any of the criteria we're actually trying to fulfill. Aradin, yeah, I've been learning about cats now that we have 5 of them, 3 adult, 2 kittens. That's funny. I haven't read it yet, but I'm convinced that author and all the scientists have just fallen prey to an even more powerful and undiscovered form of toxoplasmosis. Yeah, probably. I mean, I think it's something like 1/3 of all people have been infected with it. Free will, man. Do we even have it? I think only in metacognition do we have free will, and only then sometimes. But I love the philosophy of neuroscience and its discussion on free will. Anyway, going back to this. We have begun to explore the notion that Slack is central to the resilience of a system. It enables it to cope with losses and make space for choice. It is also needed in well-defined ways for that special case of resilience, a post-industrial lean economy. Now, Slack in economy occurs in 2 forms, and I want to stress really quickly, most of the videos and commentary that you can find on economic Slack will talk about it as though it's really bad, because most economists and people in finance and all of that, people who are making big policy that affects us, really believe that like everything should be getting used all the time as efficiently as possible. And I'm going to tell you, the more efficient a system is, the more fragile it is. If everything is perfectly used all the time and perfectly efficient, the second anything gets upset, things fall apart. Just think about during the pandemic, the issues of tons of empty store shelves and supply chain issues. That's because everything is this just-in-time, most efficient delivery, which means it gets delivered as it is needed. There's never any, buildup. There's never any reserves in anything. So if I need all these different raw materials to make my products and they're always getting delivered just as I need them, that means if there's any disruption in that delivery ever, because there's a forest fire, because there's a strike, because there's a flood, because there's, energy costs go up, whatever, all of my production has to shut down, which means nothing gets to be flexible. So the more efficient any system is, the less robust it is, the less resilient, the more fragile it is. This is it seems really easy to understand, I think. But for a lot of people in the world, it seems like I'm talking nonsense because we have such a cult of efficiency. It's this incredible sort of like brain worm that's gotten into the thought of everybody about efficiency is like our new god, and we should aim to be ever more efficient, and it's actually terrible for everything. Because it also means that we tend to use up resources way more than we actually should be, because it's more efficient now to go through all of this rather than to save and to plan and to do all these other things. Okay, 2 forms, unintentional slack. This is the case where the economy falls into depression, which at its extreme matures to hyper unemployment. Post-market economics on page 33 raised the likelihood of this scenario after the climacteric. So climacteric is sort of these transition points in any system. At the heart of such a situation, there is a paradox. Since there is both a glut and a famine at the same time, there may, for instance, be an abundance of apple orchards abandoned because no one has the money to pay the farmer for the apples he could produce from them, thus leaving abundant food growing, potential untapped, while people starve. Or there may be an abundance of labor with plenty that needs doing, and yet that plenty that needs doing doesn't happen, owing to there being, for instance, no fuel to supply the energy it needs and or no money to pay for it. So we haven't talked that deeply about biophysical economics, but I want to energy and the wealth of nations. I want to recommend this book again. 2nd edition is the better edition. 1st edition definitely reads like a preprint. This is the 2nd edition. Energy and the Wealth of Nations. It's, as it says, an introduction to biophysical economics. This really goes into a deep explanation of how physical energy is the underpinning of everything that we do, both in terms of like calories that we can eat, energy from the sun to grow things, and also things like fossil fuels. All economics is based off of energy. What were you saying? Oh, Ice Bunny, you added talking about your niece. It looks like she is dyslexic too, and I have the feeling also ADHD, and I can just see that in 2 or 3 years she will hate her mom the way I hated mine for being a rule stickler. I already found the Dyslexic Association to get them help. Nice. And Arad said, yeah, so we've been raising the kittens since they were 3 days old, so there has been a lot to learn. The mother was sick and couldn't take care of them. Yeah, that's always an intense thing to do when you have really itty-bitty kittens. Yes. Also, it's interesting to me that on Goodreads, you've got this like super dense economics text, and readers also enjoyed The Princess Bride, but I am not surprised. I think that this book is amazing, and I think you should all read it. But I'm a nerd. Okay. And think about these 2 paradoxes. More food, but nobody to pay the farmer, so people starve and die. Or plenty of work to be done and plenty of people to do the work, and not enough energy to make it happen. In a moderate form, if the problem is the lack of money, this can be repaired since governments can redistribute income to those who would otherwise have none, or spend heavily, or print money. In an extreme form, there are also so many without jobs that there is not enough tax revenue to redistribute or spend, and any government temptation to print money will immediately short circuit into inflation. Recessions are dark reminders or precursors of the failure of urban economics, where the large city-based labor forces can no longer be sustained since labor commands no price. So if you've ever read the book Secular Cycles, it talks about the rise and fall of, or really the decline of civilizations and what happens. And in each time this happens, there's massive urbanization because there's no jobs in the suburban and rural areas, like what's happening now. But if you think about it, if energy prices, gas prices continue to skyrocket the way they are, especially in places that have very little infrastructure, it will become unaffordable to live in rural and suburban areas. And we will see mass urbanization of population. The world has already been trending in this direction for a very long time, but it's going to get a lot more intense really quickly in the future because, spoiler alert, things like gas are a finite resource and we're going to run out of them. And you also see things like Russia is about to shut off its main natural gas pipeline to Europe for 10 days of maintenance, and Germany and a bunch of other countries are incredibly worried they're not going to turn it back on. And Russia's also been slowing down the gas that it sends even to a country like Austria, which is not a part of NATO. And my partner and I have been talking about being prepared for there to be no heat this winter because our heat is natural gas. It's just the way the building is. We have like an on-demand hot water heater that creates hot water that then flows through the pipes and then heats the radiators. It's all natural gas. And so our heating and our hot water come from that. And if it all gets shut off or becomes egregiously expensive, we'll need to think about how we're going to bathe, how we're going to heat our home. And this is, again, part of the issue of a very efficient system. Most countries don't have that much reserve of natural gas that they depend on for energy creation. And if the energy creation goes away, the rest of the economy can fall apart pretty quickly. So I know Austria has been spending a lot of time getting businesses and organizations to figure out the place in line for the natural gas reserves, and like hospitals are going to get the most, like they have basically the most unlimited access to it, but because they're going to have to ration it, and all of these other companies and businesses and sectors have been trying to argue for their place in line based off of their proximity to medical care. It's pretty funny to look at it, but the thing is like this is not just a sort of preview of the future because it's happening right now, but it is a preview of what will become normal in the future of energy rationing. This is stuff we really have to think about are we designing our cities and our infrastructure in such a way that this will be sustainable? Not really, is my feeling right now. So we need to really think about this. Okay, intentional slack. Wait, before I forget. So living in the rural and suburban areas becomes egregiously unaffordable because of energy prices, and then everyone moves to the city. Hey, well then there won't be jobs either because there'll be more people with more labor and not enough work to be done for all the people and not enough money to pay for it. So just future is going to be exciting. That's all. Intentional slack. This is the case where an economy learns to coexist with slack. It might, for instance, work a standard 2.5-day week and or use uncompetitive and labor-intensive methods of production, which consume fewer natural assets per unit of output. So I want to think about this for a second. Lots of people, or lots of memes, or lots of hot takes and commentary about how efficiency and productivity have skyrocketed in the last 100 years. One worker creates more productive output than like it used to be, like 50 people did 100 years ago. Don't quote me on these numbers. And instead of working less, we're actually all working more, and we don't need to do that. We've just been pushing for more and more growth and more profit. The thing is, though, we could slow it down. We could slow the economy down. Imagine if our standard of living didn't change that much. Maybe it actually became more stable and more equal across society, and we all only had to work 2.5 days a week. And then we had time for community building, for art, for pleasure, without feeling guilt of like I could be more productive, or fear of like becoming homeless because you're not hustling every hour of the day. And also using less competitive, labor intensive methods of production, making more things by hand. One, you probably get better quality things than a lot of, say, like the fast fashion that we have now. Making things by hand tends to produce better clothing, for instance, and produces less waste. So that's sort of what this is talking about. And in an intentionally slack market, there is a deliberate decision to build and sustain a locally based economy with a much lower level of output and consumption than it could produce if it were taut and competitive. Its maintenance requires that work is shared out, that the inefficient technology is freely chosen, that nature is spared. This settlement, quite fragile, like our planet Gaia herself, is the core principle of lean economics. So this, donut economics, a circular economy, all of those things fit very well within this mindset of an intentionally slack economy. To me, this sounds like paradise. We all share in the workload together. We all have stability. We all, work less, consume less, and share more. Sounds beautiful. Okay, on a small scale, intentional slack can be done easily enough. For example, the informal economy of the domestic household is prodigal with labor. And if it had to compete on price, it wouldn't have a chance. Such inefficiencies would be wiped out in a moment. It works because price has nothing to do with it. And it is this kind of essential yet slack economy which holds us to the possibility of a future. So think of it this way. Some economists have sort of priced out how much a house spouse is worth, someone who spends all day at home caring for children, cooking, cleaning, doing chores, running errands. And it's something like $150,000 to $200,000 or euros a year. Because that's how much it would cost to pay other people to do this. And simultaneously, though, having someone be a house spouse can be really inefficient in the sense that you're not producing as much, you're not creating a ton of jobs by hiring people to do these things, and then that person's also not earning an income. And the thing is, though, people who can afford to have one person stay home with children and keep the house cooking and cleaning and everything in order, they get a tremendous amount of value for that. It's not as efficient as a lot of other options, but it does create a lot of really positive things. Arad Mu said, yeah, the problem we have now is that those at the top that often control these things want that inequality, as it is often what their identity is based on. I'm better than those people. It's absolutely true. Or they think that, it's somehow those people's fault, meaning us, because we are those people a lot of the time. I don't think there are any millionaires or billionaires in my audience. If there are, give me all the money and I will redistribute it or pay taxes or whatever. Just stop being rich. Okay. Nonetheless, most human societies in the past, outside the taut, tense experience of urban civilization, have been slack in this sense, relying on things that are anathema to a competitive economy. Local loyalties and currencies, collusion and cartel, culture and confidence that it knows what it wants and where it is going, that it can choose how to live. Here, for example, is the historian Juliet Shore's view of the mixture of working life and days off in the Middle Ages. The medieval calendar was filled with holidays. Official, that is, church holidays, were not only long vacations at Christmas, Easter, and Midsummer, but also numerous saints and rest days. These were spent both in somber church-going and in feasting, drinking, and merrymaking. In addition to official celebrations, there were often weeks' worth of ales to mark important life events, bride ales and wake ales, as well as less monumentous occasions, Scot ale, lamb ale, and hock ale. All told, holiday leisure time in medieval England took up probably 1/3 of the year. And the English were apparently working harder than their neighbors. The Ancien regime in France, sorry, I was pronouncing a word slightly French and then trying to say the word France with an English accent was hard. In France is reported to have guaranteed 52 Sundays, 90 rest days, and 38 holidays. In Spain, travelers noted that holidays totaled 5 months per year. It was backed up by a well-established ritual year, and when the rituals came abruptly to an end in the Reformation, the feast days' slack was stopped too. In England, by the Act of 1536, which allowed itself a rant at those who ought to be at work, being enticed by the licentious vacation and liberty of these holidays, a strong culture that can support slack has been in retreat ever since. But the inconvenient truth is that as the economy now begins to decompose, we have to rebuild a slack society to take its place. The opening up of choice, not least choice in the use of time, allows the economy to be interesting in ways which is impossible if it has to make money with nearly everything it does. I want to stop reading at this point because leisure is also a really interesting and exciting section of this book. But I just want you all to take some time and think about this. Think about what I've been reading. I'll share the book again with you all so you can reread it outside of chat or outside of stream time. And I started reading on page 72, thinking about slack employment. And one of the things to know in the chapters on festival and carnival, the stuff that I skipped, one of the things that's really fun that it talks about is early Christianity in Europe was basically all about dancing and these wild festivals. And apparently it was very common for during the dancing women to have really long hair and to like whip it around to the point that it could make whip crack sounds and like having these like sort of wild dances, this sort of like transformation of self and all of this, these rituals. Very cool section. I recommend getting this book and reading it. I love this book tremendously. But looking at this idea of slack employment, I mean, it's hard to argue with this. It just sounds like paradise, I think. All right. So let's go ahead and shift and think about usage of free time and the ability to actually make that into how we organize the world if we had a different kind of economy. If we sort of organized our time with more slack included, intentionally, right? Like, what would that give us as people? All right, I need to take a drink. Also, as you can see, I was drinking Monster earlier because I was so sleepy. Almost finished with it. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Stardew Valley, you gonna start? Autumn, you said, which is funny given all the jokes about dancing in regards to at least the church I was in, Christianity. Things have changed, right? The Reformation, the Enlightenment, like early utilitarianism, capitalism, consumerism, the prosperity gospel. A lot of stuff has changed. Not for the better in many cases. In some cases, yes, witch trials and stuff, not great. But a lot of stuff has not been great. Also, I did order all my new computer parts, and hopefully they will come before Friday. If they come before Friday, I'm gonna build my computer on stream, because I would like to use it for this Saturday stream. I'll keep you all posted. Because then I would really like to play Stardew Valley and not have the audio get crunchy and like not have to worry about it. Big wishes. Yes. Some of the parts I ordered are from literally the oldest, longest running computer part selling individual dude in Austria, and I'm pretty excited about that. Supporting local businesses. Itchy back. I do really want to play Elden Ring. I'm also looking forward to being able to play Skyrim on full video settings and it not lag out. Um, yeah, yeah, there's a lot I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna get a second monitor because my laptop can only handle one monitor. I don't have like a docking station or anything, so it can handle two. I've tried to do that, and one monitor always just goes black the second I try to like watch a YouTube video or anything. So I'm excited to get two monitors. I'm gonna get a bigger keyboard because this is what I've had to go with my laptop, and it's tiny and not great. Okay, what's going on? Rivermore, are you truly playing Skyrim if your CPU isn't melting from all the mods you're using? I mean, good point. Okay, all right, what am I up to today? Let's look at the fortune teller. It's the 15th of fall, I think. All right, the spirits are feeling neutral. Okay, nothing special. Nothing special. Do I need any of this for the community center? Ooh, tiger trout, I do need. Okay, so I'm gonna put the rest of my fish in my fridge. Start to get some things in the fridge for cooking, which I'm so excited about. And let's see what I gotta get up to today. Oh, it's winter. Somehow I forgot it was winter. I forgot it was winter. Time to go say hello to all my little animals. Look at this cheese. I'm excited to milk the cows. You're gonna be so happy. All right, and I'm gonna put some food out. This is so great. Look at this gold star milk I'm getting. Amazing. All right, I'm gonna take this milk, and I don't need any of this for the community center. Do I need the cheese for the community center? No. I can sell that, but I'm gonna bring the rest of it. Oh, I forgot to put the pail back. I'm gonna bring the rest of it into my kitchen and save it there. I can get one more cow and one more chicken. No, I don't want to eat the egg. I want hay. I want hay. My computer is definitely being a little bit laggy. Alrighty. Okay, let's see. Anything good going on the farm? Look at this lag. It's so rough because I don't have anything else going. Ooh, look at all of this good stuff. No, I'm not trying to. I need to make so many sprinklers. My goodness. I keep forgetting about how many sprinklers I need to make if I want to do good farming this. And I should upgrade my hoe. Is my inventory full? Okay, it seems like my inventory is full. Alrighty, alrighty. Okay. Do we need any of this for community center? No. So many things in my inventory. I can't wait to make a ton of sprinklers. It's going to be exciting. All right, milk, cheese, milk. I'm going to put the cheese in there. Some eggs. I think you can cook with the snow yams and stuff, but I don't remember. Yeah, that might explain the lag, Reverend Mort. I wish that that's what happened. I wish that I did anything remotely interesting with this computer and it was easy to fix. All right, I can take this pumpkin in I can take this albacore in. I can put so many things into my fridge. The yams, hazelnuts, look at all that. All that can go into my fridge. All right, let's do it. Get the corn in there. I'm going to be able to cook so many things. That's very exciting. Sea cucumber. All right. I am streaming and it is interesting. You are right, Aradin. That is a very good point. All right, putting the pumpkins in. Look at all this. I'm excited to fill up my fridge with things to cook with. It's all usually how it goes is my fridge ends up getting super, super full, and then I have to what was I gonna say? Then I have to get many fridges and organize them by type of thing that I am making or the type of ingredient. All right, let's make some mayonnaise. Let's make some mayonnaise. And let's say hello to the puppy and put some water in your bowl. Puppy. Okay. I think I can put my dirt here. All right, gotta go back over and get all the stuff from the garden. So let's think about a Slack economy. Like, just kind of imagine what it would be like if everybody had a job, economies moved slower, we did more local stuff with the things that we did make, and we all only had to work like 2.5 days a week. And so, like, more people were things like doctors and nurses and could have these jobs, but it wasn't about money. It was more about, like, I don't know, you love doing the thing, the prestige of doing the thing, whatever. Like, it could be about all of that, which is great and cool. And I'm not going to say that, like, it's got to only ever be done for the most selfless of reasons, blah, blah, blah. Like, but if money's not the motivation, think of what job you would want to have, right? Like, if things were more balanced, what would you want to do, right? Like, I am very lucky because my partner and I have sort of like, we have the stability of my partner's job, and we don't make a ton of money. Like, academia and nonprofit world are, they're not for people who want to be rich. Um, Despite like stereotypes about rich professors and stuff, that's generally speaking not how things go. Um, but I have made an active choice to be like, okay, I'm not going to just go and pursue whatever job will make me the most money. I'm okay with not being really rich. I'm okay with, like, maybe having a hard time financially now and then. Not okay. I'm not going to say I'm okay with it because that's not actually true. But it's more that, like, it's not my priority to sort of have a ton of money because I'm okay with not being able to just buy whatever I want anytime I want it and instead do things that I feel like are good for the world. And I'm very privileged to be able to make that choice, I know. But imagine if that was a choice that was open to everybody. If we could all choose to do work that we found fulfilling and, like, good and all of that without having to worry about, starving or being homeless or not being able to provide basic necessities for our families. What kind of world would that be for everybody involved? It would be amazing, right? Like, to me, I'm going to take these basics and put them in the other one. To me, that sounds really ideal. A place where everybody's work is fulfilling and dignified and, like, or, you can have certain jobs that nobody wants to do that, like sewer management or something, and then they pay really, really well. You get an extra bonus for doing the jobs that are, like, dirty or hard or whatever. And what I'm trying to say is, like, things can be so much better than we're making them right now. It does not have to be this kind of situation that we're in. And I'm sad for the world that we have organized things the ways we have. let's see if I can make some more sprinklers. Let's see if I can make some more sprinklers. So yeah, just imagine, what would your life be like? What would your life be like? What would your life be like if you had those kinds of options, right? All right, I made 5. What is my bottleneck currently? I need more iron, and I'm definitely going to need more quartz. What do I need to make more furnaces? Okay, copper and stone. Let's do that. Let's make another furnace or 2. Copper ore and stone. All right, I think I can make 2 more furnaces. Sweet. This will be very useful. Where to put them though? Not the easiest decision. Come on. Yeah, right there. Right there. That looks good. Okay. And some more quartz. I'm going to put the copper back. Put this back. Need more quartz. Yeah, where's the most efficient place to put them? This game and a lot of video games really encourage that sort of min-max efficiency thinking. And I think that it's like, you know, I don't want to say efficiency is like wrong. I'm not trying to say that like wanting the world to be efficient is a bad thing. And there are some cases where efficiency is the right instinct to have. But it can't be the only way we think about the world, right? And it can't be the only sort of organizing principle that we have, because it causes all kinds of problems. And yeah, we can do better. We can do so much better. All right, look at this. Look at my sprinklers. Look at my sprinklers. Yeah, I think that efficiency can be really good in some spaces with some things sometimes. I think it's really hard for people to not take it to extremes. Do I have more sprinklers? I feel like I do. I feel like I have more sprinklers hidden somewhere. Oh, there's one. There's one. I need a little bit more cobblestone too, to kind of map it all out correctly. Mm -hmm. Mm -hmm. Mm -hmm. All right, let's make another cobblestone or 2. I like to make the cobblestone path and kind of have it around. I need more than that. Let's do a little decorating. Ooh, nice. Oh, I don't have 5 ore. Yeah, I really got to get more iron. Let's go up here. Nothing else. Okay. Looking at this all. Well, I can make at least 1 more sprinkler at the moment. And then refined quartz. And then I'll make more iron. Okay. Well, I should be able to get a couple more sprinklers today, because I know I got some more iron bars brewing. Nope, that's the wall. Don't need to walk into that. Right, so I think that this game encourages that like ultra efficiency. Come on, put the thing down. Why would you put it down? What? Something's glitching. Will you not let me put it down on hoed ground? Is that what's happening? I don't think that that's true, but yeah, it must be. It must be. I can't put it down because I hoed the ground there. So I just gotta wait. That's fine. That's fine. Arad said, or Chipper said, I think sprinklers can be spaced further apart. Right now, I believe they will overlap in coverage. I think for these boys, I think it's 1 in every direction. They're not the iridium sprinklers. Let me look at what this says here. 8 adjacent tiles every morning. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so I think it's just one around in each direction. And Aradin, clearly those economists need to play more RTS and resource management games. You learn real quick, and those that having a decent surplus is important for when things go wrong. Yeah, agreed. Oh yeah, look at this. More sprinklers. Why did I do that? Silly, silly. Oop. Okay, let's make some more quartz. Sprinkler, sprinkler. Because I need more quartz. Luckily, quartz goes pretty quickly. All right, let's make another mayonnaise. The night market is now open. Oh, snap. I gotta get over there. The fishing at the night market is important. Let's make some blueberry wine. Boop-a-doo. Come on. Yeah, this game is lagging a bit today. My computer, I think, has been steadily getting sadder and sadder about a lot of things in life, and I'm trying to take care of it, but it's difficult. It's difficult. All right, I'll put all this back. I'll finish putting out sprinklers another time. I don't need to do it all right now. I don't need all of this, but whatever. Let's go to the night market. Let's go have some fun. Reverend Mort, you said, Aran, you said, I'm looking forward to playing Furthest Frontier next month, I think. Reverend Mort, if you not if you only look at esports plays, that shit is all risks, no net. Reverend Mort, or at Reverend Mort, Aran, you said, I only play the campaigns, I don't touch esports. Yeah, same. And then maybe the computer got too much sleep as well. Yeah. In fact, I don't think I got too much sleep, to be honest. I think I've just been sleep deprived and anemic. But anyway, Harvey, we sell a few over-the-counter medicines at the clinic. Feel free to stop by if you're feeling exhausted. I know that being a farmer is pretty tiring work. Don't overdo it. Yep, that is exactly the advice I need in my life right now, too. Yeah. I wish I was old enough to see the Mermaid show. I'm taking a night off from the saloon for Jazz's sake. Yeah, good on you, Shane. I know how hard you're trying. I think this boat's my favorite. It's so unique. All right, let's see what the shop's, and then I'm gonna go. Ooh, I think I need a sandfish for the community center. So nice. I think I need a lobster for the community center. Let's get one of each of these. I don't know. Ooh, Highway 89. Kind of pretty. Kind of pretty. Yeah, it probably is sexual. The Mermaid Show probably is sexual. No, I don't want to spend that money. Cute. Rare crow. I kind of want to get them, but I don't want to spend half of all the money I have. Gotta get free coffee, and then we're gonna go fishing. Seasonal plants. I love the seasonal plants, but I'm gonna wait. No, I'm gonna wait. I don't have that much money. I gotta wait. Yes, I would love some coffee. Delicious coffee. Ice Bunny, if the universe wants us to be on time, it would send us out the door on time, so we do not need to run to the bus. I like that. Yeah, I agree with you, Reverend Mort. My computer knows its replacement is coming. I mean, I will still use this computer every day. There are plenty of things I'll use it for. It's just, I think it's getting old. 1,000 gold. Ooh, I forgot. I forgot how much. Oh, and I forgot to put bait on here. Bummer. Come on. The fishing. I'm gonna fish here till I pass out because the fishing is worth it. So we will see. We will see. Oh, hit. Yes, spookfish. Yeah, if I'm gonna spend 1,000 gold to come here fishing, I'm definitely gonna stay until I pass out. Oof, oof. No, 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 no. This is gonna be a super cucumber. Hard, difficult. Come on, fishies. Come on, fishies. Oops. Oh, the lag is killing me. Oh my goodness. I mean, also, I'm just not doing very well at catching this fish, but the lag is definitely making it a little harder. Yes. All right, I want to see what y'all said. Um, Arad, you said, I do think the best example of game and comments working together was the Sohinki play The Last of Us 2, and one of the characters made some comment about coffee, and Sohinki said it is an acquired taste, and right after that, the character and the game said the acquired taste my ass. Oh, that's funny. I'm gonna fish until I pass out. Ariana, I think you have an unhealthy relationship to fishing. Maybe, Reverend Mort. Maybe. You might be right. But I just love it. The fishing mini game in this game is so much fun. I should have brought all my bait. I love that you can see like jellyfish floating around in the water too. I hope I can get an eel because I know I need one of those for the community center. No, no. Oh my goodness, I'm overshooting it. No, oh my gosh. I was so close to getting it. I hate how you can be like so close and then just a couple seconds of mistake makes it so that you can go all the way back to the beginning. Oh, it's so stressful. Midnight squid, nice. So yeah, thinking about a an intentionally Slack economy, right? Like we're so productive and we have a technology has so dramatically improved the things that we can create, the techniques, everything. But imagine if we just didn't try, oh, I got a pearl. We just didn't try to move so fast in life. And like we didn't try to have so much growth. We, in fact, maybe degrowed. We had more local, more circular economies. One, again, as I mentioned before, it would make things like travel a lot more interesting because it'd be more local culture and more local products, and fashion would be different. And like right now, fashion looks the same everywhere, right? Like before my mom came here, she was reading these articles, watching YouTube videos on like how to look Viennese, and the YouTubers had all these like strong opinions. Nobody wears leggings, blah blah blah. And I was like, "Are you? Who is this person?" I don't think they've ever been to Vienna because People definitely wear leggings, not as much as say like Seattle, because Seattle's very much into like the athleisure, and there's also because everybody's really outdoorsy, and then there's also the tech influence where people wear sweatpants and t-shirts to work. And Vienna's not quite like that, but fashion here in Vienna looks like the same as it does in Boston and New York. It's like pretty much H&M, Zara, Forever 21 when that still existed. Um, very, very, very focused on just, whatever's at the store, and people just kind of wear it. And fashion is starting to look the same everywhere. And it's boring and sad, right? Like it's not the best. And then imagine if culture actually felt more different, right? You know, there's the book Civilization and Discontents by Freud, but then there's the book Globalization's Discontents. And I don't mean like the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about globalists and all that other shit, but I mean like the homogenization of identity and culture, right? This is part of what we talked about on the stream as well, of like one of the counters to sort of like white supremacist Christian hegemony is not to destroy Christianity and to say that it's evil and all religion is by extension bad. It's to look at what are the ways that each culture responded to Christianity? What was there before Christianity? If we can know, how do we want to reconnect to culture and traditions? That would make the world much more interesting, but we don't have that. And so these very like lean and very slack economies would also give us, imagine if you had like a third of the year off or more, right? Just to use however you want, to have deep friendships and deep relationships, to hang out with people, to rest your body. Think about how much less sick you would get all the time if you were actually allowed to just rest and like had time for pleasure, like really pleasure. I don't mean like productive, I'm going to take piano lessons so I become an amazing pianist, but like I'm going to take piano lessons because piano is for me. Like I play the violin, but I don't play it to perform. I don't want to play in a band. I did that for many years. I'm good. I play the violin 100% for myself. It's not about being good. It's not about impressing people. It's just for me because I like having that experience and I like investing in it. And it's so different than the way we do things now. I've met many people who are like, I like playing this musical instrument, but I stopped because I'd never be amazing at it. I'd never be like Yo-Yo Ma or whatever. And it's like, well, there's only one Yo-Yo Ma. So like, it's fine. But okay, community center, no. No. All right. So a couple of things I bought at the night market were not useful, which is fine. But I got these three dudes. Well, that is useful. Didn't I have three? Didn't I have three? It's just two. Maybe just two that are useful at the community center. Okay, the rest I can put in here. I can cook things with them. Nice. All right. What's the fortune report for today? Neutral. All right, all right. Ooh, got some mail. Probably about me passing out. Yeah, okay, that cost me a lot of money. Womp womp. I'm gonna sell this pearl. I don't need it. Got some maple syrup. Nice. I can make some more sprinklers. Nice. I'm gonna hold off on taking any more wine out so that I can use it all for, or so I can do it all at the same time. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just kind of having like here and there times is not as nice. Okay, I need more coal. Where's my coal? Here it is. Okay. And then I might go to the mines for a little bit today. That sounds kind of good. Kind of good. All right, let's make, I think I should be able to make a couple more sprinklers. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Look at that. Nice. Let's go put those down. 4 sprinklers. Nice, nice, nice. Look, the sprinklers are already working, watering the ground. It's pretty good. All right, let's see. Come on, come on. Can't walk through the sprinkler. Yeah, let's put these last ones down over here. Well, look at that. We're not quite halfway, but about a third of the way. Yeah, the fishing expedition was pretty expensive, not gonna lie. All right, I'll put that stuff there. I don't need this. I'm not gonna put that there. Why? Come back. Get in my hands. Are you thirsty, puppy? I will get you the water. I gotta say hello to my animals. Oh yeah, I have like no energy. That's rough. That's rough. Right, puppy? Rough, rough. All right, get my bucket. Caw, caw, caw. Yeah, I love it. All right, all right. I need to make more emojis. I'm sorry, y'all. I have the ability to make quite a number of emojis because of my like affiliate level. I just haven't because just haven't had the time really to get around to it. But I want to. Oh man, I left so many eggs behind. No, don't eat the egg. No, no. No. Alrighty, look at all this. All this productivity. So yeah, let's think about that some more. What would it be like? Just think about how different we could make the world. Really, like we don't have to do things the way we do things right now. It does not have to be like this. We really could organize everything in such a way that would actually serve us and our lives and be nice. And like, we don't have to do things the way we do them right now. We just really don't. All right, let's get our butt over to the community center to drop those things off. And let's go to the mines. Let's do a little bit of mining. I don't need this. I don't need this. The rest of that is good. I don't really have any bombs or anything. Blackberry jelly. I'm gonna sell that. Sounds like a good idea. Sell that blackberry jelly. Make some more money. Yeah, I could snack on algae. I do have a good amount of algae somewhere, I think. Super meal. Yeah, why not? Okay. Seaweed. I can take some more of these yams. There we go. Look at all my seaweed. Perfect. All right, let's go. I'm ready. All right, let's get ourselves to the community center. Drop things off. Reverend Mort, blasphemy, must all act in accordance with the wishes of the great Dark Lord capitalism. Yes. And then, Ice, when you said, I think the elder generation will be freaked out because of their socialization. I think so. I think a lot of people, I can see it now, like a lot of millennials, when we're old, if we do transition to a sort of leaner, more slack economy and allow for more leisure and pleasure and free time, I think a lot of us, you'll see so many jokes about like millennials don't know how to relax. We all feel guilty. Like hustle culture warped us. And like, what can I do? Look at all these wormies. It was great. Books. Bringing books back. And I can just see it. It'll be absolutely like millennials don't know how to relax, and Gen Z feels depressed about the erosion of something, something. I don't know. I can just feel it. That's all. All right. Specialty fish bundle. Heck yeah, got one of those. I still need a ghost fish and a wood skip. And then, what's the other one? River fish. Tiger trout. Nice. Nice, nice. Night fishing bundle. Really difficult. And lake fishing. All right. You are aware that communism has proven to be worse in so many ways. Worse in so many ways, folks in America who never had to deal with it haven't. And sadly, there will be a bunch of people that are complaining about it isn't fair. They had to constantly work, and then people just get to relax and actually enjoy life. Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, communism and how it's been implemented, I'm not an expert in communism by any means. I can bring this ancient doll to Gunther. It's not creepy at all. What do I need more of? I need more iron and more quartz. So let's go to 50. Let's go to 50. Let's see what's up at 50. Yeah, so I'm not an expert on communism and why it failed in the ways that it did. I know that like a lot of sanctions and a lot of like outside political interference really made things a lot worse. That the US government was like actively trying to destroy communism, and also that like a lot of the times the people who got into power were just messed up people who shouldn't have been in power. And I think that, you know, there's no perfect political philosophy. There's no, and like one of my issues with communism itself is that it's a planned economy, which means that it's planned consumerism. Like consumerism is still a bedrock of it. It's not anti-consumerist, it's just like planned consumerism. And so then you have like buying things, and when you buy things being like both a duty and also something that cannot respond to needs, not just demand, but like, you know, demand as in like the whims of the consumer, but it can't respond to need because it's planned, and it's centrally planned in certain incarnations, and that makes it a lot harder versus, you know, pre-market economies, or just like pre-capitalism. Let me eat a bunch of seaweed and get some more energy. Neither am I, but I was around when the DDR and the USSR broke down. Yeah, I was alive, but I think the Berlin Wall came down when I was like an infant. I don't remember what year it was. It might have been before I was born, might have been when I was an infant. I don't remember. I think it was when I was really little, because I think it was like 91 or something. So I would have been a baby. Little baby. Diamond. This is pretty lucky. And let's see if we can get some more good stuff. 4 iron ore is not bad. I always want this to be a doorway over there. And it always kind of bothers me that I can't go through that way. Oh, a ghost. Gonna fight the ghost. I need ectoplasm. It's kind of hard to get though. I might actually have to be on the quest to get it. What did you say, Ice Bunny? If you had contacts to the West, or you were in the elite, you had a good life, and folks on the normal level had to stand in line for basic foods. It was 1989 in Germany and 1991 for the USSR. Yeah. Yeah, I had as a kid, we had an au pair. We had au pairs, which are like nanny that kind of lives with you, but they're usually like late teens, early 20s, and they're there to study the local language, and it sounds like rich people shit because it seems like rich people shit, but in America, it was genuinely cheaper to have an au pair than it was to put a child in daycare. Overrun with monsters. You were not lying. Jeez. Okay, let's see if I don't die. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Whew. Lag is difficult. Overrun with monsters. Okay, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Leave the mine. All right, how much? I got 11 and 1. Okay. Only 5. Let's go back down. Let's go to 60. Maybe that'll be a little bit better. Let's eat some seaweed and drink some coffee. Yeah, and it was super susceptible to corruption and like I mean, honestly, my current thinking, and this is again, I'm not a, I'm not didn't study political philosophy or history or like economics. My bachelor's degrees are in psych and neuroscience, fine art, Japanese language, literature, and linguistics, French language and linguistics, and my master's. I have two, one in education, specifically focused on adult acquisition and linguistics. So that's my educational background, right? Like it's not nothing, and it's not really, I didn't necessarily study these things in that kind of way. So I really want to be upfront with like what I do and don't know. But my current thinking, and especially pulling from psychology, because I focused on the idea of interpersonal violence, especially group violence prevention. And I worked in a psych lab for a while, and I studied, it was cognitive psychology, and we were looking at attention, but we also looked at like attention and perception of faces and things like that. And basically, my current opinion is that we just need to have smaller communities. Like you can have like international friendships and international cooperation and stuff, but that like governance, economies, community all needs to be a much smaller scale, because we tend to do better in those spaces, and we tend to have less interpersonal violence issues when people are more connected, but also we tend to have less violence when resources are more evenly distributed and people have place in society and they're not like destitute. Like, a lot of the things that increase violent crime are things that are preventable. Not entirely, there will always be some amount of violent crime because there's always going to be some people whose, brains are just different, and or had early childhood experiences, like adverse early childhood experiences, also called ACEs, and those really affect personality development and stuff, and can cause big problems that lead to people, like most people who are in prison for any kind of violent crime were probably abused as children, for example. Like there's a very strong correlation there. So anyway, like there are things that we can prevent and change and make it so it's not the way it goes. And I think one of the solutions is to just have things at a much smaller scale with local cooperation between different communities, right? Like no community is likely to have all the resources it needs all the time. And you can have things like crop failures and that kind of stuff. And that's, important to account for and to have, networks of resource sharing and support and stuff like that. Look at all these bats coming for me all at once. I'm facing the wrong direction for fighting these bats. Okay. And I went and ran into some more bats. Okay, I'm going to get off this level. It doesn't seem to have much for me. Ooh, aquamarine over here. So, I think smaller scale things. I think it's also a pretty cool sort of case study is how Iceland responded to the 2008 financial crisis, right? Like Iceland's a pretty small country, and every Icelander I've ever known jokes everybody knows everybody, which is unlikely to be true because it's not that small. But as a result, after the 2008 financial crisis, like the people just literally reformed the entire government. took everybody out, fired CEOs, killed organizations and the old boys club and all of that. They changed who were CEOs, who had power, and they really just remade it. And it's now more women in charge than basically anywhere, except for, I think, Rwanda has the highest number of women in politics in the world. But because it's so much smaller, like hundreds of thousands of people rather than like hundreds of millions of people, I think that makes a really big difference. All right. Let's have some coffee. It's getting kind of late. And let's eat a bunch of seaweed. Munch, munch, munch. Look at that. And yeah, y'all are saying interesting things in chat. Give me a second. Aradin, you said one of the keys to wisdom is to know what you know and what you don't know, and to be clear and upfront about that. Ice Money, I have a very unrelated question. I'm excited to hear it, Aradin, and that is why having a surplus is important rather than just enough. Yeah, there's not just one answer to all of this. I think that, the book Surviving the Future is not trying to say here's the solution to everything, but it is a sort of dictionary or encyclopedia of solutions and options. And some of it's looking at like things that we know we need to have a good life, and what do those things mean, and how do they manifest, and like how do we make sure we have them, and how do we do it right? Not just have them, but have them well. And I think that's very, useful, but I think there's a lot of different permutations that we could take, right? The whole section on carnival is not that it has to be like carnival, or it doesn't have to be like, an orgy in a temple like, ancient Greeks were doing. Though a lot of the ancient Greeks would look at how efficient everything is today and how we just spend our time stressing and working more, and would be very sad because we're not just spending all of our time having orgies at like the temple of whoever and having fun. They would feel bad for us. And I think that though there's like kind of countless ways that we could do any of the things that are in this book, right? Like a carnival could be a traditional Thanksgiving. Like traditional Thanksgivings were not this like big feast. They were actually days of fasting and prayer, and there would be like, hunting displays and stuff like that. Like people would show off their prowess with archery or with a gun and that kind of stuff. And that's its own thing, like fasting and prayer and giving thanks for different things, or having a huge feast, or like there's so many different ways we could do any of the things that this book is talking about. It doesn't have to be, extreme debauchery and austerity the rest of the time, right? Like there's a lot. Oh, I didn't even realize what time it was. Is monk the only English word for a Buddhist who can do rituals? To me, monk is a Christian feel to it. Oh, look, level 6 combat. You could say priest, like you could call me a Buddhist priest, but yeah, I think monk really is the way in English, because priest, I think to most people sounds really Christian. Level 7 mining. What time is it? Okay, 6:10. Let me see. I have a meeting with my co-director, and I need to check when my partner is coming home for dinner. So I need to check my messages. Let's see. What is my partner saying? Nothing yet. Okay, let me just ask. ETA. Yeah, actually it's doing great. So let's stop the game here for today, because I do think that I'm due to meet Ash kind of any minute now. I want to talk a little bit about Consent Fest and the upcoming schedule. So Consent Fest is going to be this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time. So it'll be from about 7 p.m. Central European time. It will all be recorded, so if you can't stay for the whole thing, don't worry. I'm going to start gaming, an hour or two ahead of time just to warm people up, though we'll stop the stream for a little break. And then we have a huge, very cool lineup of people, lots of different perspectives on consent, a lot of outside people coming. And hold on, I had something. Oh, yeah. Good, thank you. Aradin for that modification. Ice, when you said there is some therapist in the UK who basically does CBT, calls himself Taoist monk, and he is such a creep who sprinkles some Asian mystics into his doing to be attractive for folks who have issues with Christianity. Yeah, this is very common and also a big red flag to me. Um, anyway, Saturday, it's our major fundraiser for the year. So we will be doing like a goal tracking fundraising thing I'm going to try to get up, see if Stream Elements can have like donation alerts. It'll probably be all done through PayPal. And we're also going to have raffles and prizes, and we're going to play games, and we're going to do lots of fun things. But we're also going to have a lot of really fun guests come and do performances and talks and share different perspectives with us. Some of them will be people you've recognized from past Twitch streams. Some will be completely new, lots of different perspectives on it. I really hope you can join us. If you can't, or if you can but you cannot donate, don't worry about it. The thing that would really help is to promote it. We have promoted it on social media, on Twitter. We've also got promotions on Facebook and Instagram and our website. And if you could all share it with people, and let people know that it's coming up, encourage people to come and to donate whatever they can, but no pressure, really, I want to stress that. The more money we raise, the better, and there are it doesn't have to all come from you or anything. So the more people we get to come and to stay, if you know anybody who's a streamer as well, ask if they would be willing to give it a shout out or promote. Raids are also really helpful. Anything helps, really. So all of you lovely people, if you cannot donate to that, don't worry. There are lots of other ways that you can help contribute if you want to. Coming and joining, just being here for it, helping us keep the number of viewers up also really help, because the more viewers we have, the more viewers we're likely to get, which means we can spread the word about consent more, get some more people, new people thinking about it, but also get the potential for us to raise more money as a nonprofit. And then just coming, even if you can't stay for the whole day, just having that browser window open is really helpful. Totally free, super helpful, and joining in on the chat, inviting new people in. You all, I think, spend a lot of time with me, pretty familiar with a lot of consent topics at this point, facilitating the discussions in the chat, answering questions. I feel like you all can do a really good job of that. I have a lot of faith in all of you. And it would be amazing to have you all there and be part of this. Yeah. Yeah. Ice Bunny, I see you also said, and when I started to talk philosophy, they were not liking me. Oh, that's too bad. Anyway, yeah, please just promote Consent Fest. Feel free to make your own posts on your own social media about it. We have the graphics that I've shared on Twitter, and also they're on our website if you want to use those, but you can also just make your own or do whatever you want. Very grassroots. But yeah, thank you all for joining me today. I always appreciate it when I'm feeling sleepy and you all keep me company. It's really lovely. And I will see you all on Saturday. There will not likely be a stream Sunday because I think we'll need a break. And the following Tuesday, next Tuesday, there will also be no stream because I'm going to go on a little road trip with my mom and my stepdad and my partner. We're going to go driving through the mountains in Austria. And that'll be really lovely. So I will not be here next Tuesday, and there'll probably be no stream Sunday because it's all going to be going to Saturday for our big Consent Fest. So please join us on Saturday. And otherwise, I hope you all have a great rest of your day and a great week. And I look forward to chatting with you next time. Bye. Yeah, I won't fall in the cracks. That's funny. Bye.